Now, mate, just because you lost.
You know what You know what he's lost? You know what he's lost? You want to sign? You want to sign?
No, it's fine.
Oh, man. What the fuck? Dude, like, come on, be real.
You came to get a drink, man, with the boys.
Fucking drink. Who are you, bro? Yo, dog.
If the play, you're proving my point. No, you're proving your point. We're fucking 15th. It's on the. We're 15th. We are 15th, sir. We are 15th. We are 5 points away from relegation. Yeah, we are closer to the bottom than the top, bro. We ain't winning Europa. There's no European football next year.
We are back for another episode of Big Six Bants, and it is Chelsea Talk episode 2, man. You know what I'm saying?
Make Chelsea great again every time. Big up Monts.
Come on, man. Obviously, very good feedback from last week's first show. You know what I'm saying? So, obviously, make sure we are smashing the like button. Make sure you're subscribing to CB 1 million in the title. Don't be a scrub. Make sure you subscribe. If you subscribe to me, subscribe to everyone that I have on this channel. Subscribe to the man around me and all that good stuff, man. Listen, I know CV's got many messages for the board. Obviously, Chelsea did lose the Aston Villa in a 2-1 defeat, which probably could have gone either way. You know what I'm saying? In the course of the game in isolation, but it's the same old problems once again for Chelsea. And obviously, we're gonna get into it, man, with a few more things about the board to talk about also. So listen, let's not even waste so much time, man. Let's not even waste time. Broski, how are you feeling about the game, first of all, man? Obviously, you've had a day to recover. You've had a day to kind of digest.
Yeah, I had to let it breathe. But to be honest, when I actually watched the performance, I'm past the point where I'm angry and fuming, and I see through it. The moment we scored the first goal, I've seen the same script before. I saw that as soon as the goal went in, I said, that goal went a bit too early. Because for some reason, when we score early on, we don't capitalize. It's like we switch off. We have a half where we could bury more chances, put the game away, and we don't. If it's 1-0 at half time, the majority of the fan base is looking at it saying, I'm not confident. We're not seeing this game through. The fact that we look at the games like that is mad. I just think personally, once again, I'll put this on the manager. I think we've got a serious profiling issue that the manager has within our team. The fact that he's playing in Nkunku left wing, I want to give him credit for the Neto up front, especially considering they played a high line. It was a good idea. It started very well in the first half, especially because he was drifting out to the right-hand side and then he was interchanging with Palmer. I wish he also interchanged with Nkunku, and sometimes Nkunku goes in the middle, sometimes Neto's on the left, but we didn't really see much of that. It was more so in Palmer and Neto interchanging. Nevertheless, I think it was a good idea. It led to the goal. So credit where it's due for the goal and for the idea to put Neto up top. Now, my issue is Nkunku hugging touchline left wing when you got a natural left winger and Tyreek George. And I know, you spend 1.5 billion. I swear, every time I'm on your stream, a doorbell rings. But we spent 1.5 billion, and the fact that we can say, we should be playing Tyreek George, I understand. That's mad. But in terms of just pure profiling, if we have a natural left winger there available, I would ideally prefer them to play him other than Nkunku. We know offers nothing. And then when you get to the 50th minute mark, 50th minute mark, 60th minute mark, we can see Nkunku, you're doing nothing. It's not even to the point where it's cardio because you're not running. You're not doing nothing. You're killing attacks. You're actually just not contributing. The 10 is 11v10 at this point. I would prefer if you play Tyreek George. Then on the other flank, because we lined up on a lot of people looked at it on paper and said this is a 3-4-3. Immediately, because there was 3 fullbacks on the pitch, Gusto, James, and Correa. I immediately saw that and said that's still the standard 3-4, like the 3-2-4-1 that we see. The only difference that we're getting now is that Gusto is playing in the Noni Madueke role. And this is what a lot of man didn't want. You looked at it and thought 3-4-3. Yes, we're changing it up. Yes, Palmer's playing right wing. Yes, this is how we're doing this. When in actuality, it's Gusto now playing in Noni's position as a right winger who tracks back the same way Noni would track back. Is that his strengths? Is he 1v1? Is he that good? No. Okay, you can see him overlapping more instead of inverting and underlapping, but it's still not his strengths. He's 1v1. That's not him. He can't cross the ball. He's not a goal threat. That's just him and attacking in the right wing. Not to mention the amount of times he got skinned in defense by Rashford in the second half. And it's like, okay, so on both flanks, you've got two players that are playing out of position. How do you expect goals? Yeah, I mean, it's a pure profiling issue all around the pitch, and we suffered for it.
No, I hear it. I think the game for me was very open, especially in the second half. It was mad open. I thought, I'm looking at, the chance that Palmer had. I'm looking at the amount of times Neto in transition was free to kind of just go 1v1 versus Matson or Digne, whoever it was in the second half. Because I know the changes kind of get made. I just generally felt like, from what I got, was that you guys in your pomp probably could have scored 3 or 4. I think they could have had a couple goals as well with their chances. But that game, some Chelsea games aren't as open in it. They're a bit cagey. Chances aren't really flowing too much. But for me, for there to be as many chances as they were, and for it to be kind of Neto, I've kind of made my mind up on Neto at the moment. I don't think he's a bad player, but the amount of freedom he gets is credit to his positioning, but his decision making in the final third, to me, bro, I can't lie to you, man. It, like, the amount of times he gets into a good position and the chance, whether that's lack of a striker, I'm not too sure. But bro, the amount of times he makes the wrong decision is way too much. It happens way too often, and he kills a lot of attacks for you, man. And it's a shame because when he played for Wolves, it pretty much seemed to be the opposite of that. It generally felt like the opposite of that.
I understand. I don't think this. I'm very critical of Neto. I've said it. The two league goals is unacceptable. You're a £60 million signing. You were decent at Wolves. That you had a good reputation for yourself. A lot of people said you warranted a big move. I'm sure Liverpool fans rated him highly, especially the amount of time he's cooked you lot. So it was a thing where we're like, okay, you're bound for a big move. You've got your £60 million big move at a top 6 club, and we're almost in March. We're a week away from March, and you've got 2 league goals. That's unacceptable. But I think yesterday's game is not what Saturday's game, isn't the type of game where I'm going to look around and say, you know what, I'm putting my fingers at Neto. You played 2 positions. I think up top he was out of position. I can see the runs you're making. A lot of men aren't finding you. I'm seeing the fact that I called for the second half where we decided let's switch up our philosophy. Let's sit back and try hit him on the counter attack with 1-0 up. He was literally the only option. He was literally, as an outlet, I can see what he brings to the table. And that's something that he hasn't had the luxury of doing so at Chelsea, especially after the last couple of months, because we were playing a bit transition, we were playing transition football for the first couple of months, and it shifted. Now we've gone back to this is where we're playing Maresca ball now. 3-2-5 build up, all of this, and I don't think that's his strength. Seeing him as an outlet on Saturday, this is probably one of his better performances, and you can see it in transition. Yes, you can argue, at times the decision making is poor, but he's used to having a big man in the box, whether that's a Raul Jimenez or if that's the Chong Huang Lee guy. But he's used to having a natural striker in the box there for him, and if he's in transition, he's gonna cut back or cross. He hasn't had that available for him pretty much all season because even Jackson lacks the flow. He's not a threat inside the box.
Who was Maresca's number 9 at? It was Vardy in it last season?
Yeah, it was Vardy with Mavididi, and I'm not sure who the
Mavididi was on one side, and Daka was coming in.
Yeah, Daka.
I believe Daka was the other one. Do you think the striking profile is an issue? Kind of like, maybe even though Jackson's injured, because I think Guy was a good deputy. Do you think it's a striker issue for the wingers, or do you think it's more of a problem on the wingers, or is it more the manager making these wingers look worse than they are?
I think it's the manager for pure profiling reasons. Because in this 3-2-4-1, it's Palmer in the 10 next to Enzo. The wide players are in that game in particular was Nkunku and Gusto. None of them are natural born wingers. Neto's playing up top. No one's natural born wingers. We have Tyreek George on the bench who can play on the wing. We had this Mheka striker, natural striker who can play up top. If you wanted to change things around, we can see it's not working. Nkunku is a net negative. Gusto's a net negative. What do you have to lose? The game's 1-1. You're winless in your last is 2 in your last 10. What do you have to lose? Put on someone natural. Big up Sid, an NBA FT member. Still, he's original. But as I was saying, like for me, the problem is I don't feel like the manager is using the squad, and is that what's actually put him in this mess in the first place. Mind you, he wasn't using Vega instead of Colwell. Even when Kukurea was injured and he could have played left back, he was playing Gusto at left back instead of Vega. He played Reece James left back instead of Vega against Man United. That's a concurrent theme of him not using the squad. Same with Yao Felix. We've had many opportunities. We said it on the first episode. You could have put Felix in the 10, Palmer right wing. And it could have opened up so much space in the middle instead of nerfing Palmer out of these games. However, he hasn't used his squad. Subsequently, they both forced moves and got loaned out because they want to play football. And now, again, you've got a natural left winger in Tyreek George. You've got a natural striker in Mheka. I understand more so the Mheka one, but you promoted Tyreek George. They posted a video of them promoting Tyreek George and Anchampong together. He started games in the FA Cup. He started in the Conference League. He, if anything, you promoted him to the first team. Does he not warrant a chance, especially if Nkunku isn't performing? This is what I don't get.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of. I agree. The profiling issue is a big thing with Chelsea. Simply because if you look at the I generally think if you're looking at player for player, everyone is good at a very specific thing. I think Noni Madueke for me is an average winger. But there's specifics that he excels in, such as, sort of that first 1v1. I think his in-swing and cross can be utilized if you can isolate the player enough. But if you kind of ask Noni to do multiple different things on the wing without an overlap, I think he can struggle. Do you see what I'm saying? I think if Palmer is the facilitator, he's not at that level yet to be the facilitator and the goal scorer while a whole team is marking him out the game or trying to mark him out the game. I think it makes him become less effective in terms of being a match winner as a part for, him being we spoke about this last time, being a facilitator. He's getting the ball out wide. He's spraying the ball out wide. He's getting the ball to Neto. He's getting the ball to Sancho or whoever it is that you might be playing on these wings. But the issue is your goal scorer and your match winner is being marked out of games still. The wrong players are being marked out of games. And I think teams are happy to let guys like Neto and Madueke and even, dare I say it, Sancho, other teams are happy to let those guys have the ball. Let them man have the ball.
This is exactly what I was saying on my watch along. The way I look watching these wingers, under the system where they have no overlap and there's 3 players marking them. Most of the time it's 2, but they're doubling up, tripling up on the wingers. A lot of them are dropping off. They don't even want to engage. They're dropping them off, letting them do what they want to do. You're going to run into traffic, lose the ball. You're going to try force across. We have no threats. We literally have no threat in the box. What can you do attacking wise, especially against an Aston Villa mid block like that as well? They've conceded it. As soon as we conceded a goal, which I would say was coming, I think we were the better team in the first half. We should have been 2 or 3 goals up. But I hate that this is the same theme that we've had for since we've turned into 2025. Should have been the better team. Should have been up front. Should have won the game. Because this is now another game where we were goal up and we've subsequently lost the game. We was a goal up against Brighton in the FA Cup, we lost the game. Goal up against Man City, lost the game. Goal up against Fulham, lost the game. Not to mention Bournemouth, a goal up and we drew. Crystal Palace, a goal up and we drew. This is a running theme that we're seeing this season now. So, do you get what I'm saying? It's gone to a point now where I have to point fingers at the manager. I don't think he's the only issue in the club. The fact that these are your options, the fact you have no striker, I'm not going to put that on you. The fact that instead of bringing in a centre-back, you've brought in Chalobah. Now, what I will get on to is, another thing is, by the 50th minute, these players are dying. They can't run. You're not changing nothing up. You're not subbing off Enzo and Caicedo. You're letting them do 90-minute stretches. You can see the end of the performance levels every single time. Every game I've mentioned where we're a goal up and we're dominating, by the 50th minute, the energy levels drop off and we have no answers. Look how many Emery done 4 subs by the 70th minute. Maresca done his first sub barring the injury in the first half in the 74th minute of the game. KDH is there. You bought him for 40 million. I don't rate him, but that's extra lead. You're telling me you can't provide energy when Enzo's worn out. Like you're deliberately not using your team. We've brought in that new centre midfielder. I don't even know his name. You're telling me he can't contribute for the last 15 minutes of a game and have some sort of energy.
So do you reckon he trusts the squad then? Because it seems to me like he likes to use a scarce amount of players, but is Chelsea the football club to be using a scarce amount of players with how many signings you make, how many players you ship off, the hire and fire sort of thing? You're very rock and roll when it comes to bringing employees in, whether that's on or off the pitch. Is he the right manager then really to be managing the team if he only likes to use a scarce amount of players? Is that the model that suits that type of manager? Because it doesn't look like it at this point.
But this is the thing, because we going into the season at our best, we was propped up best depth in the league by not even just Chelsea fans, rivals. You know, there's certain creators that said we had the best squad in the league, better squad than Liverpool, all of this bollocks. Yeah. By the time there was an A team, there was a B team. We knew our B team, we knew our A team. It was a thing where there was literally 22 different players being used, and it was high-level players playing in that B team. Felix, Nkunku, Badiashile, Vega. I know they're not world beaters, but for a B team, you're looking at that and saying, whoa, these man got some players, you know. Sometimes Sancho might drop into the B team. Sometimes Neto might drop into the B team. Sometimes Noni's in the B team. You're looking at that, you're saying,
every now and then.
Yeah, you're seeing, okay, this is a B team and they've got players. Why all of a sudden you touch the December period where, if anything, this is when you need to utilize your squad at its highest? You've stopped using it. And you can see now this is when the injuries started picking up. Fofana injury, Badiashile injury. You know what I'm saying? Jackson injury. It's all starting to creep up and punish us now. And you're still seeing these things and not using your squad. The moment our squad died is when the team died, is when you stopped using the A and B team and actually switching things up. Or you know what? It's another thing as well is the lack of merit. That's what's pissed me off, because he came in and was like, yeah, if you play a certain way, anyone can start, no problem. He was doing that. Certain players will ball out in the Conference League. They're starting now. That's something that Neto, it took him a while to get a stretch at that right wing position over Noni. He finally got his chance in. He broke through. Then we're like, okay, you're actually giving people credit with merit. Then Nkunku scored against Bournemouth, didn't play again. Felix balling out in the Conference League. It's not playing in the league.
Shipped off. You could have used it now.
Do you get what I mean?
Renato Vega and Felix, I think, were like, for me, I couldn't believe when I saw those guys were leaving. You signed Vega you literally signed Vega this summer. This summer you signed Vega. You know, there were Chelsea fans saying that Vega has a chance to break into the first team if he plays regularly enough. You know what I'm saying? There were times when João Felix stepped in and looked like he could do a thing, whether that was in the B team or the A team. So I just think the decision-making for Chelsea has been all wrong. And I understand you lot were in a great position. You were second place, 18 games into the season, not 5 games into the season.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. I thought we were back. We were 2 points off you.
And you could have gone first. There was that 1 week where you played Everton, you beat them. You could have gone first before we played our game after that. And I think that goes to show, for me, I also, one thing I really didn't like was the manager coming out and saying, listen, man, you can't, we're not ready to compete for this title. As we said, you never come out and you discount what your players are capable of, regardless of whether you believe it or not. Never to the public. Never show your hand to the public. Never show your hand to the ops. And he showed his hand to the ops. He's followed that up by misprofiling players that are probably better than some of the ones still getting game time and being shipped off at the same time. And a team that is very active in the transfer window wasn't very active in the transfer window. So the one way that you fix problems by buying players, you're not doing that either. This is a Chelsea that I know to spend a lot of money, and even though it's not a way of football that I believe in, I also believe that it's a way of football that definitely works. Just because I don't believe in it, that doesn't mean it doesn't work. It still works, because if you keep throwing shit out of walls, something's gonna stick. You're gonna find the diamond in there, and that can be the start of something to build your team around. You did it with Palmer. You had Cole Palmer. Now you can build your team. You can.
But this is the thing
around.
A lot of people look at a lot of people that are pro Clearlake, especially a lot of Chelsea fans. If you're here tomorrow, protest 6 o'clock against Blue Coal. But as I was saying, a lot of people that are pro Clearlake use the Cole Palmer signing as though that was a planned signing. we got rejected by Olise. Olise, we triggered his release clause. They threatened to sue us, and he extended his contract. Then we tried to go for Bradley Barcola, and he instead of re-signing for Lyon, like he said he wanted to do, he's gone to PSG. Then Cole Palmer was on the verge of going to Bournemouth, and we brought him in as a panic buy on the last day of the window against Wimbledon. It was a panic buy. It was a market opportunity. Same thing they did with João Felix and Sancho. It wasn't planned. He ended up taking off. Salute, like you said, sometimes shit's gonna stick on the wall. They've done a good job of that, but they didn't capitalize. Kudus, another one that they failed to sign at that summer as well. And they failed to capitalize. So then I look at this, and like I said, I won't put it all on the manager. We knew in the summer, Pochettino had a January window when nothing got won at the end of the day. We knew in the summer we needed a goalkeeper. We needed a centre-back. We needed legs in the midfield. They sold Gallagher, so we definitely needed more legs in the midfield, at least 2 of them. They didn't do that. And then they didn't bring in a striker. They didn't bring goal-scoring wingers. They didn't address none of the issues we had in the summer, but because they waved Felix in our face, which at the end of the day doesn't address no issues, he's a talented player, but don't really address anything. His best position is our best player's position. So you didn't address nothing. Sancho doesn't address anything.
But the wingers, but this window was seen as a positive window by most.
By who? No. This is the thing. Proper Chelsea were complaining about that window. From when we signed Gu, we knew we needed a striker. There was outrage. A lot of the toxic positives propped that. When we signed Anselmino, we knew we needed a real centre back. They signed a Boca Junior centre back and then loaned him back. There was outrage. We was not happy with that. Estavio Willian wasn't joining this summer. We weren't happy with that. Every signing that we did this summer, we weren't happy with. From Neto, who was injury prone at the time, that's why the question marks were over him. Sancho is you pick it up United's mess. You're doing what we do with Arsenal. But because he was a Sterling replacement, he had a bit of leeway. Felix was question marks all over that. We didn't need that position. Omari Kellerman, who even is that? KDH is not better than Gallagher. Do you get what I mean? Like, we was never happy with that window.
But this is my thing. So obviously, I know there is this kind of divide in the Chelsea football base, bro. But as a rival, a lot of the time, it's hard to know which sides you're hearing, because there are the sides like yourself where you would kind of look at the issues for what they are and you go, this isn't good enough. You know, we have to see how the season goes, and then you kind of judge it that way. But when I'm hearing that Chelsea, you know, we've spoken about the whole certain content creators saying Chelsea have a better team than, you know, my good friend Ches literally said that he still thinks that Chelsea have a better team than Liverpool today. He said it yesterday.
Do you know what the argument is? That is not, they're not even the only ones, because a lot of people in the fan base say this, but why this don't make sense to me is their argument is, when you ask why are we 7th place in the league right now and Liverpool are top of the table, we've had injuries. You guys have had Konate out. You guys had Alisson out for an extended period of time. You've had Jota out. You've had Trent out. You've had like McAllister drop in and out of the team every now and then. You've had injuries. You've had Keller play for a month. Our number 2, you saw what he did against Aston Villa.
Keller played more than Alisson at one point this season. At one point, Keller played more games than Alisson.
But look what our number 2 did against Villa. Do you get what I mean? It's like we've all had injury issues. It's the same problem I had with Arsenal. The fact that, like, I think a lot of people criticize Arsenal. At the end of the day, imagine Palmer was injured for the rest of the season. We're done. Rest in peace. Saka's out for the season. Odegaard was out for 8 weeks. You know, Calafiori injured every now and then. Timber injured every now and then. Havertz, Jesus injured. Marino has more league goals than Neto, Sancho, Nkunku, and Felix.
Yep, all of them.
That's mad.
He's played up front for not even a whole 2 games yet. He come off the bench and played 10 minutes, and then he played a full game against West Ham. Not even a full game, but he played against West Ham.
But like I said, I won't put it all on Maresca, but when I see stuff like our setup or out of possession, the fact that out of possession, we literally do a 2-3, we do a 2-3-4-1. Yeah, it's
open and it looks open.
And the 2 is literally Colwill and Tosin, who are not fast, and you're doing that on a high line. What are you setting us up for? You're killing us. You saw Aston Villa every time they pick the ball up in transition, and Asensio switching the ball straight to Rashford or vice versa, and out wide, they're killing us. No one's tracking back.
Hear me out with this one. Yeah. Colwill was at Brighton when he was on loan, right? Was it a 2-year loan or something like that when he was at Brighton? Yeah. Cole had the great season with Brighton, And obviously, Tosin was it Fulham? Was Tosin at Fulham?
Yeah, Tosin Fulham.
He was at Fulham for the
A mid-table
yeah?
back line.
Like, so this is what I find crazy. Chelsea have got a Fulham regular and a Brighton loanee who needs to make the step up as your centre-back pairing for Chelsea.
Even Colwell played 12 league games at Brighton. He wasn't even starting over Duncan, Van Hecken and all of them, man. He played 12 games.
You see what I'm saying? This is what I mean by a defensive pair. And obviously, I know people are going to say, oh, but wait, what about Fofana? Well, he this is the first season we've seen him be remotely fit, and he's injured again anyway. So Fofana can't be put on a pedestal. Tosin is a Fulham regular, and Colwell was a Brighton level player. No disrespect to Brighton, but Brighton are not Chelsea. They are not Chelsea. They're not. You know, Reece James is the question mark, so he's barely in the team. And obviously, Kukureya's form, we wasn't even sure that Kukureya was going to continue his form from the last back end of the Poch era through to the Euros, through to now. None of that was guaranteed. So this is why I didn't understand. This is why I was very critical in Chelsea, because for me, it was like, we don't know what's going to happen with Kukureya. You've signed Tosin, who's a Fulham level centre-back. No disrespect to Fulham. Colwell is a question mark because he's coming back from Brighton. Can he do the job? And obviously, you've got Reece James, who's never there anyway. And obviously, Gusto was probably looking like the most promising out of that back four. And then on top of that, you got rid of Sanchez, who you're just going band for band there. What's Sanchez, Kepa? What are we really doing here? Do you know what I'm saying? And then the Jorgensen guy, and he was the other one that got sent on loan, who was also your second keeper. Wasn't Jorgensen?
Petrovic.
You had Petrovic. He was like, Petrovic wasn't great or bad. He was just something that needed to, like, he was just like, oh, what about this guy? What about this guy?
It's the same thing with Jorgensen. When Sanchez, oh, what about Jorgensen? Oh, Jorgensen's our best keeper. You ain't watched him.
Like Jorgensen, I'm not, and this isn't even me slandering Jorgensen because of the mistake yesterday. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's just to me, these are guys, bro. That's like, you're just saying, what about them? Because you don't like what's there right now. That doesn't mean they're good enough for Chelsea, for the badge, for Chelsea Football Club. And this is a rival. This is a rival talking here. So for me, I couldn't understand for the life of me, outside of your midfield three, why anyone could think your squad was top 3 in the league. It made no sense to me.
Do you know what it was? Obviously,
outside of the midfield, because I think your midfield is very good.
The ascension of Nico Jackson in the first 3 months of the season played a big part in that also, because now it felt like, oh, there's somebody else we can rely on goals with Cole Palmer. Because Nico Jackson, aside from, like, fuck the scoring for just a second, his all-round game as a 9 is probably one of the best in the league. Even right now in his bad run of form, the Bournemouth game, at home, that Palmer goal was all him. He spun Hodgson or that centre back, all these hipsters are loving off, and he the way he can dribble, create his own chances. The fact that the only thing missing was the finishing, and when it felt like the finishing was, he finally got it. You look at his goals against West Ham, you look at his goals against Leicester. You're thinking, whoa, his Aston Villa finished week 4 posting in. You're thinking, whoa, he's finally got this together. He had 9 league goals by the start of December. He was literally third in terms of golden boot race. It was Cole Palmer above him and Salah. He had more goals than Haaland at a certain point, or he was tied with Haaland at a certain point. You're looking at him like, whoa. Even Isak, he was above him on goals. You're looking at it like, okay, this is real now. And he just dropped off. He ain't scored in how long? He ain't scored since Brentford at home, which was in the second week of December. That's madness. So that ascension made people feel like, okay, the squad's better, because we've seen an improvement in Jackson. Palmer is doing Palmer things early in the season. Then you're thinking, okay, Neto already started a bit shaky, but you're expecting him to pick up form eventually some point in the season and start getting at least 5 to 10 goals. You need to remember, Noni started with a hat-trick in game week 2. So now you're like, cool. If you can contribute, get 10 league goals, which we can expect you to get, you're on 5 goals in November, you might get 10 league goals. Jackson, you're on 9 goals at the end of November. Okay, you might even touch a 20 or 18s. Palmer's on 12 goals. We're looking at like, okay, you're touching a 20-21. There's goals in this team. We could actually outscore every team we play against, because we knew the defense was shaky. That's gone. Now it's like, we don't know where the goals are coming from. That's the big problem between why that's the fine margin between why a lot of man said we had a good squad and we don't. Because
because you're taking these discrepancies. So again, your discrepancy is probably the wrong word. You're taking these moments such as the Jackson form of 3 months and the Noni 3 goals, Palmer getting 4 goals against Brighton, thinking, yeah, he ain't slowing down anytime soon. You know, I understand there are fans taking those moments as normalities rather than formalities. You know what I'm saying? But the bottom line is, bro, is that there still was never enough evidence in this Chelsea team to prop the squad up as much as the top Blues did, in my opinion.
For me, I didn't prop the squad, but when I was second in December, you know, 2nd December, 2 points off top of the table for Christmas. I can't lie. I'm saying, listen, I'm a Chelsea fan at the end of the day. We're going for the title. Fuck that. That's me. That's Chelsea.
I hear that.
But I didn't rate the squad.
I'm talking about in August though, so the season hasn't started.
Yeah. No, in August, I never projected that at the end of the day. I'll be honest with you. But like you said, you said there's no evidence. Now this is where you kind of lose me here, yeah, because from January to the start of the season, we were the 2nd most informed team in the league. We were flying. We only lost to Liverpool and we lost to Arsenal. Both damning defeats away from home. We got cooked at Anfield, I think 4-1, and then we lost.
Yeah, and you lost, and I think you lost to Wolves 4-2 in there as well.
Yeah, we lost to Wolves and we lost to Arsenal and 5-0. Yeah, Wolves at home. Yeah. And the rest of that we was flying. You know what I'm saying?
Coincidentally, that was when Neto actually bun you man up as well that game. I remember.
Yeah, he did.
And the thing is, but this is my point though. Like I understand on the form table from the calendar year you were doing really well. But for me, when you change your manager, there's almost like a soft reset. I don't want to say so much a hard reset because it's the same players. You know what I'm saying? You didn't necessarily let go of enough players and whatnot, but there was a soft reset for me. That's why I kind of looked at that back end of the season and gone, well, if you kept Poch and then you signed, you know, different players, then I would have been more inclined to look at that last 6 months of the season and go, right, this is the Chelsea that we're going to see going forward. But when you change your manager, everyone gets a reset for me. So that's why I looked at the team and gone, cool, now we kind of have to look at the team on paper again, as opposed to the form that we saw at the end of the season. And we also can't discount the first half of the season that wasn't good. We can't just discount that as well. It's a full football season, even though the calendar year is closer to what we saw from the start of the season. So I kind of looked at that and I just went, listen, I'm not even saying Chelsea's squad is bad. I think you've got a lot of latent talent that needs to be brought out. But that's where I think the manager is key in bringing the talent that these Chelsea fans thought they saw or thought they knew onto the pitch and turn it into results. And getting rid of the manager that was starting to find those results took you a step back for me, which is why I looked at your squad in a certain way. And that's not to say that Poch deserves to stay. I'm not saying that Poch deserves to stay. I'm just saying the progress he made to bring it back to 6th kind of went back. I'm not saying it meant nothing, but it wasn't as important as what the fan base saw. And I'm a rival, so I'm going to look here from a more pessimistic view anyway, because I'm a rival fan. But the bottom line is, bro, is that Maresca, he's new. He's not managed in the Premier League before. Don't get me wrong, he done very well up until that first half of the season, but there's just so much more to the squad than on paper. You need experience. There's so many more, you know what I'm saying? Players playing together, consistency, which I still think there isn't enough of at Chelsea. Just player relationships. I don't see a lot of player relationships outside of Palmer and Jackson, which is a very good.
But you see what you say. I agree. The manager is a problem, but this is when you have to hold Clearlake accountable, because the inexperience in the team doesn't only start from the manager. If you go from the higher ups to the directors and the board, these guys have all got promotions. These are the positions they're in. They've never been in. I said it in last week's stream. Yeah. When Stanley was at Derby County, a video analyst at Man City when they didn't even win trophies them 2 years. That's the 2 years they didn't win league titles in the 2010s. And then he was at Brighton as a technical staff. Lawrence Stewart was at RB Barentino, New York Red Bull. Like, you know what I'm saying? RB Salzburg as a technical scout. These guys were never directors of football clubs that required you to win trophies. Prior to coming in, they never won trophies at any level. So that's already a massive step up. Joe Shields, who was head of youth recruitment, is now head of recruitment. You saw the job that he did at Southampton. He got them relegated. We've given him a step up. Then you look at the fact that the manager, like you said, he's a novice. He got relegated by Parma. He's never managed in the Premier League before. He's never had to deal with a squad with massive egos and utilizing a squad. The most talented players he managed was Mavididi and Vardy. Do you know what I'm saying? That's mad. Then you look at the squad, barring last season. I don't even know off the top of my head with this year's squad, but last season, barring Sterling and Thiago Silva, nobody played 150 league appearances at a club level. That's mad. Do you get what I'm saying?
Crazy.
There's nobody that's won trophies at club level.
What about Reece James?
Yeah, Reece James as well, to be fair, but we don't count. I don't count Reece James as a squad member, to be honest with you. He's a cameo guy. He's like if you watch My Wife and Kids, he's like Tony, like a little Calvin. Like, you get me? Like, you're gonna be there quite a few episodes.
We're saying them fringe characters. He
ain't the main character of the shows. Like, that's what he is. So I don't really count him as a squad, but there's inexperience from the top to bottom, from the directors, from the board, from the owners who have never managed a football club before, apart from Todd Bowley, who managed LA Dodgers and he owns a minority share at Lakers. None of them have managed a football club before. No one in the directors have won a trophy before or actually been a technical director for a club with expectations. The manager's never done anything at a high level. Majority of the squad are novices. So when you build a team like that, do not be surprised by inexperience, by a lack of mentality, inconsistencies. This is a recipe for disaster. And these are all the things I said last season. And this is why I don't rate a lot of the creators in our fan base, because all of them said it's all on Pochettino. At the time when I used to call out the directors, they called me a Poch Ucker. When I used to say all the things they're saying today, oh, it's not all on the manager. Oh, no, it's the directors. Oh, the players let him down. This is everything I've been saying for the last 2 years. They called me a Poch Ucker.
Maresca's on course to emulating Poch.
They're both on pace for 63. We got 63 points last season. We're on pace for 63 points. We're seventh in the league right now. Under Pochettino, this time last season, we were ninth. We was in a cup final. We got round of 16. We was in a semi-final of the FA Cup. We got fourth rounded by two teams that we beat on path to the Carabao Cup final in Newcastle and Brighton.
There's not a map like you could argue to say in all comps, Poch was doing better because it's hard. It's easy. He wasn't in the Conference League.
They will never admit that, though. They would never admit that, because then it takes you realizing, oh my gosh, we were wrong. Oh my gosh, we should have spoke up sooner. Like we've been asking for them, because we've been called that side of the fan base. Oh, you want Chelsea to lose? You're so toxic and negative. You hate the club. Go support someone else. You know, when we were second in the league and I was celebrating, they told me I'm not allowed to celebrate because I was negative last season. This is what our fan base has become. You know what I mean? Like, it's mad. So when now all of these are doing this Maresca talk, no, because when Maresca came in, I already knew that was not a clear-cut improvement. I want an experienced manager. Ancelotti's contract expires in the summer. Bring him in before someone says, "Oh my gosh, why would Ancelotti come Chelsea?" He managed Everton after winning the La Decima at Real Madrid. He's managed at Chelsea before. He's loved by the fans. He's won trophies here. He's the first manager to complete the league and FA Cup double in Chelsea history. Why wouldn't he come here? Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, actually experienced winning coaches here, but because they're not tacticos, because they're called dinosaurs. Oh, because he don't have the tactics. Oh, he doesn't do 3-2-5. His football is rigid. All of these fancy words, bro. Bring me a manager that can actually win. So when Maresca came in, that's why I went to the protest that nobody attended. Because this protest tomorrow ain't the first protest. I went to a protest and I was the only one there. What does that say for my fan base? And then you want to get, now everyone wants to repeat everything I've been saying for the last 2 years about the directors and about Clearlake and about Inexperience and all of these things. You've enabled every move. Majority of the fan base enabled every move. When Sancho signed, they celebrated. When Felix signed, they celebrated. They wanted Gallagher sold. Now we've got no legs in the midfield and Lavia's injured like we expected, because they said Poch injured all the players. Lavia's injured again now. There's no answer. Bruv, it's mad. I can't. Like, it's actually mad. And I think the answer to this is sack Maresca. When he gets sacked, I think the directors go with him, because that's a third managerial hire they've gotten wrong. At the end of the day, we're missing out on Champions League football again. This is private equity money we're playing with. There's a reason we ain't got a front of shirt sponsor. You do Super Sundays, you see Brighton and Newcastle and Aston Villa playing over Chelsea. We have to watch us on IPTV. We're losing money in terms of television rights. We ain't got a front of shirt sponsor. We're not in Champions League football for a third year running. It gets to a point now where this project now, with this sporting model, is losing us money. So the ownership are finally going to look at this and say, you know what? Let's spin these sporting directors. Let's do a refresh, get a new manager that actually, let's just go against what we've been trying to do because it isn't working. Let's spin this model. That's what I want. And if it means that we miss out on Champions League football to get the club back, I'll fucking take it. I don't care at this point.
No, I completely understand it. Like, there's inexperience throughout the whole football club, and I actually didn't look at it because for me, I've always looked at the Chelsea board as underwhelming right now, because this is the first time I've seen Chelsea in my lifetime since I've been watching football go 3 years without a trophy, or potentially go 3 years without a trophy. For me, I'm sorry, bro, I don't class the Conference League as a trophy, even if you win it.
Agreed.
So for me, it's looking at 3 years without a trophy. You know what I'm saying? And I've never seen that. That's something I've never seen before. I'm just used to seeing Chelsea winning trophies. It's just a thing, you know? And for it to go from not being able to winning trophies to this, and it's coincidentally now under a new regime. Now, when you look at it, I'm pretty sure this is Bowley's first football team as well, no?
Yeah, 100%. He tried to buy Spurs.
Yeah.
And he tried to buy us a bit sooner, but
This
he
is
never ran
even so right to the top. This is the first time this is a rookie. This is a rookie.
Yeah, there's novices top to bottom at the team.
Yeah, and that is where, you know, and obviously I understand the Roman and how he took care of the club and all of this stuff, but to go from Roman, who cared about the club, you know, he really did care about the club, to this. And listen, I don't think everyone's a bit afraid of change. Roman was never going to be there forever. You know, change happens in football, but you know, this type of change is the wrong type of change. You can't go from someone who's experienced to someone who's never done this before and still give the same amount of money, you know, still have the same budget, because 1.5 billion spent, and this is the squad you kind of have to show for it. These are the sporting directors you kind of have to show for it. Do you see what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I understand there's some successes. There's very small successes in Chelsea right now. Cole Palmer, Caicedo. There's small successes.
But those aren't successes if we're not winning. The aim of the game
of
is
course.
to win.
That's what I mean. These are the little W's that we laugh at clubs like Arsenal for, because they don't win anything. You see what I'm saying? These are the little, and even then, at least they're competing. At least they're competing. Not to say that's something that we champion, but you know, we're looking at the little W's.
100%.
Chelsea are built on a foundation of silverware. That is Chelsea's foundation. It is their foundation in modern football, anyways. It's their foundation. So looking from the outside in, when we talk about these guys, I just don't understand where it got to the fan base to overrate the squad as they did in August. After 18 games, I understand, because then you have even I apologize as a Liverpool fan. So there was a run of games. There was evidence that a lot of the players can pick up and can perform over a span of games, because 18 games is not a little man amount of games. That's 18 games. That's over a third of the season. That's almost half the season. That's a long time. So at that point, it doesn't really feel like a fluke or per se a purple patch, or if it is, then a longer purple patch. So to spend that amount of money and to have, as I said, we literally dissected your back line. For that to be your back line with that amount of money spent, it should really be Bastoni in your back line. You know what I'm saying? It should be someone like Bastoni in your that's probably who should be in your back line. You know, HR was saying it.
Well, it's £1 billion spent at the end of the day. Agreed. And what hurts me the most?
So just before you go, bro, as I said, so to have Colwell and Tosin as your back line after one centre back injury is unforgivable for me. It's unforgivable under a new manager who isn't defensive to begin with. It's suicidal and unforgivable. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially after not bringing in a striker, so you're solely reliant on 2 goal scorers, one of which, Jackson, is a purple patch at this moment. He can score goals, but he's not a Cole Palmer goal scorer. So therefore, you have 1 goal scorer and a defensive line that doesn't even really represent a top 6 level. It's after that money spent, and then for the fans to say that it was a good window. Not for you per se, but for fans to embarrass Chelsea by saying it's a good window, to embarrass Chelsea by saying we have a better squad than A and B, to embarrass Chelsea for these reasons. It's crazy to me. Crazy to me.
But you know what's mad, yeah? Like just mentioning the squad building, yeah, and this ownership. As Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth both got taken over the same year that Clearlake did, 2022. Now, when they've come in, you look at Nottingham Forest, it was a bit shaky their first season. They spent money too. It was shaky in their first season. They just about, by the skin of their teeth, didn't get relegated. We finished 12th that year. So we performed better than them that year. I'll give credit where it's due. Now look at them. Look at the way they've built their squad. They've got centre backs in Murillo, who's ready to get hands on. You look at their fullbacks. They've got direct attacking, overlapping fullbacks. They've got direct wingers. They've got a traditional 10. They've got legs in that midfield. They've got a target man 9.
Well. They bought in Sangare. They did spend the money. They bought in Sangare.
That's what they spent the bread, but their squad building is just in terms of a profiling. Target man under 9, traditional 10, direct wingers, that overlapping fullbacks, attacking fullback that can handle their own as well 1v1. They've got defenders that get stuck in and are not that they've got height in their team, they've got legs in that midfield. It's just in terms of profiling, pure profiling, forget the names, they built a better team than us. Nottingham Forest. You got a manager that's more experienced than Maresca as well. In Nuno's Esperanto, or however you say his name, man. It's mad. And then another thing, because I want you guys to really realize this, yeah. Ten Hag, you look at Ten Hag's tenure at Man United, he's not respected by his fan base. Yeah, at the end of the day, a lot of men would say he's a bum. Ten Hag, at the end of the day, he's a bum. That's fine. No problem with that whatsoever. But then when I look at Man United's last 2 years, they finished in the top 4 position. They won the Carabao Cup. They finished in Europa League position. They won an FA Cup and got into Europa League football. So Chelsea in return, no trophies, 12th place, 6th place, Conference League. So then just forget that is Ten Hag. Forget that is Chelsea we're talking about. Team A has finished in Champions League football in one season and won a Carabao Cup, and then won an FA Cup the next season and qualified for Europa League. Team B finished 12th and was in no European football, and 6th and are in the Conference League. Who's had a better 2 years? Man, they hounded him out. Do you know what I'm saying? It's mad. We can't even outdo Ten Hag. Then you have people in the fan base that slander Roman. But after 2017, after his league title, we was washed because we never competed for the league again. In 2017, we won the league. 2018, we won the FA Cup. 2019, we won the Europa League. 2020, went to a cup final, got top 4, and we lost the cup final, but we had a transfer ban. That's his fault for the transfer ban. Fair enough. But that season, that 2020 season, going to the FA Cup final and getting top 4, if Maresca did that this year, that's a good season, which is mad. 2021 Champions League, 2022 Cup, World Cup, Super Cup. So at the end of the day, what are you slandering Roman for? I respect you. You're Liverpool. At the end of the day, you lot have your smoke. We've had our smoke. You know what I'm saying? But 2017 to 2022, Roman has won everything. He's got more trophies in his collection in terms of you might have more cups than us, but in terms of just the trophies, the names, he's got more trophies than Klopp in the same time. You don't look back at that period and say, "Oh, that was fugazi because we only won one league title. That don't count. Oh, no, it don't count. He should have left." That's what our fan base are doing. I wouldn't even say our fan base in totality. A certain side of the fan base that defend Clearlake, and I don't understand it. I don't know how we've gone to the point where we slander Roman.
They look at it as a long-term project where you have to go through the pain. But there's a certain pain. I think there's a pain barrier that's been broken by Clearlake. For example, as you said, the lack of European football, the lowest tier of European football, 12th place finishes. Chelsea have never been built on finishing outside of that top. Like whenever you've ever finished in positions outside of Europe, you've won big trophies. I've seen you finish 10th and go win a major. That's what I've seen you do. I've seen you, man, finish 10th and win big.
We won the Champions League the first year, 6th place. We won a league title in 2015. 2016 finished 10th, won a league title again in 2017.
Yeah, you went from league to 10th to league.
But like, you get what I mean? And I would have that any. I wouldn't want that any other way.
When you finished 10th, did you win a domestic that year? You didn't win a domestic, did you? Did you win a
I
domestic?
think we went trophyless. We went trophyless 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we
when
went
Conte come in the year after then, right?
Yeah, Mourinho, the whole Eva Mourinho thing happened. He left.
Yeah. And then
We had interim, and then Conte come in, won the league, and then he won the FA Cup the year after.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, it's crazy. I think we're definitely gonna have to touch more on this next week.
Especially we went way over time.
Yeah, we've gone over time on that. We'll touch on it. Time flies in it. It's good football chat. You lot, we are currently not at 100 likes. That is crazy because you always hit 100 likes very quickly. We're 9 likes away. So you lot right now, make sure you do get this video to 100 likes. Make sure you subscribe to CB as well. Listen, Chelsea, who are you playing next? Do you take on next? You take on Southampton.
We got Southampton tomorrow. Our next 2 games are Southampton and Leicester. I think if we don't get 2 wins, he should be sacked. No excuse.
So next week, Monday, we're gonna see what results happen between Chelsea and Leicester when they play Leicester and Southampton. We're gonna be back. Listen, people, smash the like button. I hope you guys did enjoy this. We are still thinking whether we're gonna be doing this as pre-record or thing just because of the time and sake and whatnot. But listen, the chat, you guys have gone in. Smash the like button, become a member, and we'll see you guys soon, man. Bless up. We're gonna be back at 11:45 for the Liverpool therapy show. So make sure you guys tune in to that one. Take care, people, and we'll see you in the next one.